is looking deep down the left side. Mendeville into the end zone. Touchdown!
Down the sideline, still Foley to the house.
And the players streaming from the sideline to celebrate with 17 seconds left.
Hot mic? Hot mic? Mic on? No, I'm kidding. Hey, Trevor Horn here in the downtown TBC studios. I am hosting alone because once again, Chris, show it, gone. No Zach. He's trying to sleep off a whirlwind weekend. Why? Because the Cal State Bakersfield men's basketball team is heading to Madison Square Garden. Incredible run for the Runners. 3 straight wins on the road in the National Invitation Tournament. Winners last night over UT Arlington, and they're going to play next Tuesday at Madison Square Garden. Zach has been on the road the last 2 games. He'll be heading back. Well, he's back, hopefully getting a little nap. Probably not because he's got kids. So I'm here in studio. Stan Greene, Director of School Support Services, and Kyle Wylie, who is now the Coordinator of School Support Services over at the Kern High School District. Gentlemen, welcome. How are you? Last night, let's start with that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was great. Let's start with the Cal State basketball team like you did. We are so proud of them in this community. I mean, Kyle and I, it's pretty much all we've talked about for the past 24 hours of, how excited we are that they have that opportunity and now they get to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a night last night, as you said, for basketball in Bakersfield in general.
Yep.
Just everyone getting represented. So it's a fun thing to watch Cal State do their thing as we have, Coach Barnes' kid that was a former Kern High School District student out there representing. So we try to show them some love when we can and give them support when we do that. So
and when you guys talk about the Runners last night, the superstar that was Justin McCall out of Ridgeview, who was going to be a runner next year. He's signed, sealed, and delivered to go to Rod Barnes and Bray and play for the Runners next year. And he kind of stole the show. Well, before we get to the video, before we get to all that, 3rd annual Kern High School District boys and girls basketball game was last night at Centennial High. You started off with the girls game at 6 o'clock. In between, you had a 3-point shooting contest for both the girls and the boys, and then the slam dunk contest, and then the boys game at 8:15. Music playing through the whole thing. Stan, this is kind of your baby. Kyle, you guys have brought it along. Now that we've kind of gone through the infancy stages, bringing in a few things last year, figuring out what worked and what didn't, is this getting closer to the final product that you want to see year in and year out?
Yeah, I mean, that very well said. We put things together and we try to build off them every year and try to just make them better. Fact is, we have our debriefing either later today or tomorrow as a group to talk about, what went well and what didn't, just to try to make it a great experience for the kids. And I think last night was probably the perfect experience. And as much as I'd like to take credit for the music and the DJ, that was Kyle. And, Kyle's been a tremendous asset to our division. And, he comes in and he's got some great ideas and we just got some things really moving in a very good direction right now. And we're just really proud. I'm really proud of him. He's done a tremendous job for us.
Kyle, we knew how successful you were social media-wise when you were athletic director at South. I mean, you really kind of brought that whole aspect in, which truly, it helps us. It really does. I think it helps build the brand for each individual high school. It helps build the brand for your district, helps build the confidence and the notoriety for those kids. And really it does. It helps us too, because it allows us to, jump on, if there's a cancellation last night, like it was because of weather, anything that's going on, if there's a big score that we're waiting on, it helps that athletic directors jump on social media and throw it out there on Twitter so we can jump on it. So when you started it 3 years ago when you were at South, did you kind of see where that ball was rolling, Kyle?
I think the one thing is I saw the power that was in it when I, kind of go and look at all that, and I just see, I guess I was reading an article kind of about addiction and social media, so I realized that people are on it anyways. So, and people want instant access to information, and Twitter's the perfect medium because I don't know if people want to read 3 to 4 page, bios on things. They want the quick 150 character thing in there, and just finding a style that fits what we're looking for at South High. I was able to really focus on, building up that South High culture, and it's just kind of the perfect storm. We had great soccer teams going on there, so we had, momentum being built up, and it really does change the culture. It really gives people confidence. And last night, it was just an amazing night, and we humbly prepare what we can do to give kids memories. And what you do too as well, it's all of us pitching in, the local media, us pitching in to really expose our kids. At the end of the day, it's about the kids getting exposed, about the kids being celebrated amongst their peers, and Twitter is the best platform for that I've seen in a school system.
Well, and I think we go over this more and more and more as the years go on, but here in Bakersfield, prep sports really does rule.
Yeah.
I mean, even on the wake of, you know, a night where the runners are doing so well, you still had 1,100 fans inside the Centennial Gym last night for this festivity of, I think, was it 59 seniors playing last night?
Mm-hmm.
You obviously won Tori Dunn of Golden Valley, which cool moment, by the way,
Yeah.
that you were able to allow her to get that first bucket, even though she was on crutches. To be able to celebrate those kids, you guys understand how much preps means in this town and how this whole thing goes. I mean, Stan, you grew up in Porterville.
Visalia, come on.
I thought you went to Porterville.
No, I went to the best high school in Visalia.
Oh, you were a Raider.
No, Ranger.
I'm going to get it all wrong.
We're gonna help.
get it all wrong today, and then start from the beginning.
We're gonna
Fake
get you an
news
almanac
right here.
or something. Yeah, fake news. Oh, I like it.
Okay,
No,
so
to answer that,
Yeah.
So when I showed up in this town in '87, that's when Greg Kerr showed up and started Hometown Sports with Charlie Adams. And so he and I have this pretty cool relationship of, 30 years now. And I've seen his program grow, and I've seen, my dad was big into filming everything I ever did. And it's cool to have those memories and to speak about the crowd last night and to speak about Cal State. Kyle and I talked earlier in the day, and what do you think? How many? I said, we usually have about 400, 500. But to speak to the power of social media and what he's been able to do, and our Twitter following is growing. It's still relatively small, he and I think, but it's still growing, and the power of that, and the power of parents buying in. Teresa Hope Williams from Centennial took all the photos from Wendy Horak, another Centennial parent that donated their time, went out and took those pictures.
Wendy could actually just field the football team on her own.
She probably could. Yeah, she probably could. And they put, and her husband Mike's Fencing is one of our sponsors. Anytime we need anything, we go to him, and he's been a tremendous supporter. And so, between them taking the pictures and putting it into that program and putting the program out, that's kind of some stuff that Kyle and I have been working on in the background of how do we create more hype around our programs to get more people in the stands, because at the end of the day, more people in the stands is more money for our schools, which makes our programs better. And that's the ultimate objective for us.
Let's look at some of the video last time. Let's start off with the McCall slam dunk. Let's set this up. You had 5 guys. You were supposed to have 5 superstars, but you had 4 and a junkie in there judging last night. So who were the other 4?
Don't say that about Cody Kessler. Come on, there. Come on.
Right. So no, I was not. Okay. So you had set it up, and the 4 other judges, other than that one weird guy in the middle.
So Kyle set all that up, but I'd like to add to that, as he goes through them, Ray Burris, he picked Ray Burris for obviously Ray Burris' connection to the town. Ray Burris took classes with my wife at Cal State 30 years ago. And then Bo Redstone, obviously he's a superstar as well. Bo Redstone,
all-time leading rebounder at Cal State.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you what, I can attest to that, because he used to show up when I was a teacher at Actus Junior High and play in our nighttime pickup games. And when he first came in the gym, I'm looking going, no. And that was the end of the rebounds for me. And so I'll let him name the rest.
Well, then we had, we tried to get Joe Turner. He was supposed to be out there, but he got called to work late. And, it was just unfortunate he couldn't show up. He called me this morning, and he was apologetic about that. But being able to land Cody Kessler out there, I know a lot of kids were excited about seeing that. And it definitely added to the fun nature of the whole event. Then I'm always partial to Winston Cripe being an old South High Rebel. That was just an awesome thing to watch. So it's just great. It's just the basketball community shows up. I look at Winston Cripe being a coach. I look at Bo Redstone and his involvement in coaching as well as in media. I see him at Bakersfield Jam games doing his thing, and just everyone. Ray Burris, and he's a lefty, so that's near and dear to my heart because I'm left-handed too as well. So it's a great thing to look at, and great for Bakersfield to have those local legends. I'm a history guy at heart, so what I've been really trying to be cognizant and aware of is our traditions and our legacies that have been put before that. So, I mean, we're doing Throwback Thursday and Flashback Friday stuff to really add to that quality so kids understand all of the groundwork that was laid before them. So.
But you need 5 guys to make a 50, so who was the 5th?
He was
Phenom.
I
think he was a wrestler.
A beast in the center. Trevor Horn right there.
No, it was. I appreciate you guys letting me
absolutely.
jump in on it. It was a lot of fun. I actually had a really good angle. Chris, let's show that angle of the winning dunk from Justin McCall. If we have it here, I mean, it was.
This was supposed to be a playoff.
Yeah, it was, and oh gosh, the 360 slam dunk. Just incredible moment for him, just because that's what you love to see. I'm hoping Chris. Wow, Chris, let's show the other slam dunk video as well. Here's Grant Johnson, who's near and dear to my heart because he's a short guy like I am. He can dunk. I can't at 5'11", so it was a lot of fun to see him. And then Kevin Larson here from Independence, who's going to be a great baseball player at Fresno State. 6'9", big old palms. And then, Stan, you like that. Why? Why did you like that one so much?
That was a pretty cool dunk. That was my son in there in the front, so he got a kick out of that.
Yeah, and there are your judges, the 4 good ones there being shown. There's another dunk by Grant Johnson, but it was a moment, and a lot of fun. And the girls had the 3-point contest with Ashlyn Quinn winning the girls' 3-point contest, and then it was Anais Medrano of Liberty beating his teammate Samir Gill for the boys' 3-point contest. On the girls' side, the white team won 77-64, I believe it was. Dana DeGraff, Arena Ridgeview, who's going on to Sac State to play basketball. She was the MVP of the game. But the stories that you get is Catherine Cole out of Stockdale is never going to play basketball competitively ever again. Had scored 20 points to lead all scorers last night in the girls' game. On the boys' side, Grant Johnson, he's 5'11", probably won't play basketball again. He got to be in part of that slam dunk contest with Jordan Roberts, and you guys did that throwback photo from Randy Robinson, right?
Yeah, Randy Robinson.
Yeah. And it showed Grant and Justin at the same height in 8th grade because that's when Justin had that growth spurt after his freshman year. And I talked to those 2 guys at halftime of the boys' game. They said they met skateboarding when they were in 3rd grade, and that's where it all started between the 2 of them. And that's where you get in this senior class. We got a couple minutes here, but I think what made last night so special for me was when I walked in the door, all these seniors were sophomores. And we did that story of the sophomore sensations. We had 5 of them in here, and 5 of them obviously played last night. And those 5 are all going to play at 4-year universities next year, with Justin McCall, with Jordan Roberts going to Long Beach State, Alec Check, who is, he's got 3 or 4 teams.
He'll be
in
somewhere,
line.
yeah.
He will be somewhere next year. Anais Medrano, he's actually going to go to BC, but you got to figure at some point he's going to move on to a 4-year college because he's such a lethal shooter, and he continues to grow and get stronger. And then Austin Contreras over at West, who's that lethal 3-point shooter, and he's going to 4-year college back in Illinois, getting his school paid for. He's actually, he and his dad are on their way right now to do the official visit today, which is a really cool moment. And you get a lot of other guys like Xavier Esquivel and Kevin Larson and those guys. And it was a really special group that really kind of came along this year. And, I talked to Winston last night. The height isn't there in the city like it used to be back in his day. Stan, you can attest to this. I mean, there were some big dudes to come through Bakersfield back in the day. But as the city has grown, I think everything's kind of been expanded and, spread out. The wealth has been spread out. But, it's still fun to see a lot of guys like that because you got to think, maybe back in the day, maybe Ridgeview and Independence would have been one high school. And then you get Kevin Larson on the same team with Justin and Jordan. And you put Elijah Cardenas, Quentin Crony, and Harold Hartage in there and LJ Ziegler. Maybe that is that super team, but that's not where we live anymore. From where you guys are right now with the live streaming, Stan, where do you see yourself going forward in the next, 365 days with everything you guys are doing to promote the student athletes in the current high school district?
That's a good question. We're very fortunate that our superintendency values it. And as you well know, the memories are in the tape for the kids and the archiving of the videos. But what we found is the value of it is really in the Twitter. People want to see it in 5-10 seconds. They want to see a picture. They want to be able to interact with that. So we're really happy to push our message out and push our brand out of who we are and all the great things we do as a district and all the great kids we have. And to speak back to the point of if we just had one high school, that would be phenomenal. I would argue that the athletes today are far better than they were when I was in school.
Oh, I'm not
So
arguing
maybe they
that
are
they're not
spread
better.
out.
They're just not as big.
See, on the football side of it, I think
Football
they are
side,
bigger.
they're bigger.
And-
Winston and I were just basically talking about that
Yeah.
they were just teams where it was like they'd go down to L.A. and they were all 6'6", 6'7",
Sure.
6'8".
Well-
But that was back in the day when there was only 6 high schools in town, and the world changes and life changes, and everything happens for a reason.
Well, and it's it's like Kyle and I speaking to that too. We talked this morning. He said, "Gosh, how are we going to do it? How are we going to pull this off to make it better next year?" And I quickly replied with, "Last year after Isaiah Martin dunked, I said, man, we're never going to top that." But back to the whole live streaming. My office has been fortunate enough to have some good vision, and we've been able to expand. We're actually looking to launch another few items in the next 365 days. We're just trying to wait for formal approval on it. In regards to live streaming, we're building a website right now. It's called Kern High Network, and our hope is to have at least 2 games in football, at least 2 games a week. We may end up with 3 or possibly 4. Just depends how things kind of sort out. So we're really looking forward to that, and we were really excited about it. And Kyle, I didn't know his talent in play-by-play, but he's pretty talented.
Well, you got a pretty talented one there with you and with Vance Palm as well.
Yeah.
And networking always does help.
Yeah, absolutely. We're fired up about it. It's going to be good.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming in.
No problem.
It's always been great to be able to work with you guys hand in hand, and hopefully everything continues smoothly from here on in the future. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the future, guys. Appreciate it. Stan Greene, Kyle Wylie,
Thank
guys,
you.
appreciate you guys both coming in. Thanks for the time. It went by a little too quickly than I had hoped.
Yeah.
Next, we'll have Nick Papagni, the Pag Meter from up in the Fresno area. We're going to talk baseball and softball with Nick coming up in the next segment. We'll be right back.